right.
Valerie, they have to do everything for me. They got to tell me everything. Is that lighting better for us?
Yeah, that lighting is perfect. All right. Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna.
And you can hear me okay?
I can hear you
Or do I
perfectly.
need to pick up the headset?
Nope. You don't need to pick up the handset. Maybe move it a tiny bit closer, but I think we're good.
Okay, hang on. Give me one. Okay. Count if we can pull that. All right, go ahead. Go ahead. Valerie, you still with me?
Perfect. Yep. You got it. Trying to get my.
Okay, if you're happy, I'm happy, we're happy.
All right. Everybody is happy. And the lighting is good. Life is good. Can you see me? Apologize. I'm not very photogenic, so let's just say.
Now, how long you been in Lincoln?
I've been in Lincoln for about 10 years now.
Wow, that's home.
Yeah, it is home. I grew up on a dairy farm about, an hour and a half away and went to school, found the man of my life, and 2 kids later and master's degree and doing pretty good.
How old are your children?
3 and 5. So they keep me busy.
10 and 6.
10 and 6.
5 and 10 and 6.
Oh, wow.
2 boys.
Oh, wow. I'm sure your summers are very busy with sports and life in general.
Got it. I got it.
All right. Well, so talking through these questions, I know that some of them are more transportation related, but don't feel like you have to stick with that. As far as talk about, just your background, your perspective, and where you would want students to know about career awareness, both in general and if you happen to know some specific information about transportation careers, that's great. But otherwise, we're just looking to provide the students about there's opportunities and there are organizations that support everybody, and that there's.
Well, one of the things is I'm on the board of trustees of the Society of Automotive Engineers.
Oh, perfect.
So what I'll do is I'll give you some contact information to some folks over there, and then we can just continue the party.
Great. That sounds like a good plan. All right. So, this is always the awkward part for the camera is to go ahead and say good morning. And this is of course for the YouTube video footage. Good morning. My name is Dr. Mack. I am the executive director. I've been in this industry for a number of years, and.
All right. I'll give an intro. Good morning. My name is Dr. CarlMack1. I'm originally from Jackson, Mississippi. Attended Mississippi State University. Graduated with Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering. I worked in Seattle, Washington at Metro King County, designing wastewater treatment plants. I did that for about 18 years. And then in 2005, I was selected by the leadership of the National Society of Black Engineers here in Alexandria, Virginia, to become the executive director. And so I've been the executive director for NESD since 2005. Have an honorary doctorate from Clarkson University, and I serve on the board of trustees of that university. Serve on the advisory board for the School of Engineering at Mississippi State, and also serve on the Society of Automotive Engineers board of trustees on that foundation.
Wow, fantastic. So tell me a little bit about your career path, and because I believe you're a mechanical engineer.
Correct.
And go ahead and talk a little bit about, how you got to where you are today, or what attracted you to that major.
Okay. As I said, I grew up in Jackson, Mississippi. Went to an all-black high school in the hood for all intents and purposes, and didn't know anything about engineering. Never met an engineer, but I was always good at math and science in school, and so I always questioned, the fact that if I go to the grocery store and I need change, why do I need sine and cosine, any level of advanced math for that matter? And my counselor then reached out to an advisor at Mississippi State. They came in and told anything about engineering. And from my home, you can see the railroad tracks down the street. So as far as I knew, I was going to Mississippi State to learn how to drive a train. That's how little I knew about engineering. When I got to Mississippi State, I got involved with the co-op program. I got a chance to intern with John Deere in Ottumwa, Iowa. And it went from engineering just being cerebral to me to being very real, because I got a chance to actually experience the lifestyle of an engineer, the pay of an engineer, what they do. And it was that experience after my freshman year at Mississippi State with John Deere in Ottumwa, Iowa, that I absolutely knew I was going to be an engineer. So that's how I got literally pushed into the field of engineering, which is which is a fine line, but it speaks to the importance of high school counselors, of them being able to identify the talents of young people. And and as a young person, you may or may not know exactly what it is that you want to do. So it's always helpful when you have people like yourself, Valerie, who do these types of programs. And now you, as a child or a young person, you can say that I'm in that same position where I'm not quite sure what I want to do. And then maybe somebody gives you that little nudge or points you in the right direction. And literally, that's how I became an engineer. But I will say this for any young person who is interested in the field of engineering, and I'm hoping that you're watching this while you're in junior high school. And I'm saying that because it is incumbent, absolutely important, that you take your education very serious and you keep building on the foundation, especially with math and science. But although people always emphasize math and science, all of your coursework is important for you to excel. And if you are in high school and you're doing well in math and science, I can tell you that engineering is an absolutely incredible career path to choose. You'll hear a lot of people talking about the absolute demand for engineering. As a nation, I've always said that if America is going to have a very vibrant economy, we have to have innovation in that economy. And at the forefront of innovation are engineers. So I would encourage any of you that if you're interested in a career, engineering is absolutely the way to go. There's, so many young folks end up going to college, spending a lot of money to get that college degree, only to end up graduating. You can't find a job. Engineering, we don't have a shortage of jobs.
That is for certain. And, I'm glad that you touched on when it's so important to decide or to, maybe if you're interested in it, it's not going to hurt you necessarily to have extra math or science in high school. What do you think, what advice would you give to students who are trying to figure out, what are my career options? Or what mentors should I seek? Or how do I seek mentorship? We work in a lot of schools that, that are very, very diverse socioeconomically. My husband's a middle school teacher, and he has students in the same classroom that I had my dog flown in from Rome, and I live in the car with my mom. And how do you speak to students who maybe, don't have role models at home? How do you seek to find those role models? Because, one of the things I always am interested in is that piece about knowing how to go. When I was growing up, my parents didn't give me any options. I was either going to the community college or the university, or I was going to stay at home and milk cows. Well, I wasn't interested in staying home and milking cows. And I didn't want to go to the same school as my brother, and I was valedictorian in my class. I did very well in school, and so I wanted a university environment. But my father didn't necessarily agree with the courses the university had me take, and there was a lot of necessarily conflicting information from home about then maybe what my school was telling me. And, for students who maybe are first generation college students or who maybe don't have folks in the right environment at home, can you speak to them to say, this is how you find leadership and role models? And maybe do you talk to your teachers? Do you seek folks out? Can you as a student send an email to a professional? How would you recommend that they make those connections? Is it through, after school programs, organizations? What guidance would you give them?
Now, if you're in middle school, obviously trying to seek out adult mentors, in this day and time, isn't as safe as when we grew up. So I think, Valerie, what your husband is doing is what we would encourage a lot of teachers to do. I always participate in career online and do research and look at the kind of job opportunities that are out there. What kind of pay is it that those jobs offer? Because so many times I hear inner city kids saying things like, "Well, I want to go into psychology." But psychology sounds sexy, it sounds romantic, it sounds impressive. But then, what are you going to do with the psychology degree? And then, if you get an undergraduate degree in psychology, that alone is not going to make you very marketable. So, regardless of what field it is that you're choosing, go online and look at the kind of job opportunities. Just pick up a newspaper and see what kind of jobs are people advertising for. And that'll give you a real good indication about what that job market may be like by the time you graduate. Now, of course, the environment changes all the time. We go into a depression or recession. Clearly everybody's job is going to be at stake. But when you take a look at normal times, look at the kind of jobs that are being offered. So I'm saying to you all as young people, just sit down and think to yourself, if this is what I want to do, if I go to college and I get a degree, what can I do with that degree? I can tell you that with an engineering degree, you have the versatility to do almost anything you want. When I got my engineering degree from Mississippi State, I started working as an engineer, but at one point I thought, you know what, I want to pursue my dreams of playing football. So I went and tried out with the Cowboys. Now, that didn't work out, but I still had an engineering degree, so I had options. Decided to go into acting, did a little acting just on the side. Was an author, got a chance to do public speaking. So you have options when you have a very marketable career. So that is the one thing that I would say is that regardless of what endeavor you want to choose as a career, no matter what it is, just do a little research and try to find out what are the job opportunities for that career, even today as you look at it. Keeping in mind that the environment may change by the time you graduate. And of course, if you have an opportunity during the summer to work, let's say that you want to go into the medical field, if you can go to a hospital or a doctor that has a private practice and just be around that doctor, do any type of work around them, just to kind of get a better feel for what they do. It'll give you some indication as to whether or not you like this. If you want to go into the medical field, but you can't stand the sight of blood, well, guess what? You probably shouldn't go into the medical field from that perspective. Or, if you want to go into engineering and you think to yourself, I would love to be an engineer, but you can't stand math and science, I probably wouldn't advise you to do that. But more importantly, I wouldn't, for any and all of you, never say that I don't like math and science. No matter what the coursework is, be it math and science, English, history, or foreign language. It is no different from anything that you're very good at. If you're good at dancing, you're good at dancing because you dance a lot. You're good at sports because you play sports a lot. You're good at video games because you play video games a lot. Believe me, if you focus on your academics with the same type of intensity that you focus on any other hobby that you love, I can assure you that you'll be very good at it. And if you go in and put that work in it now, I can assure you again that your chance of going to college and not having the type of financial responsibility that most people are going to have because they don't take the time to put in the rigors to perform academically in an excellent manner, you won't have those challenges. I cannot tell you the amount of scholarship opportunities that are out there, the number of colleges that are constantly looking for very talented students. And so again, if you put the time in right now while you're in middle school, even elementary school, middle school, high school, you put the work in, put the time in, and prove yourself to be academically excellent, you can even call me and I'll be sure to help you get into any college that you desire. But you got to bring me something. You got to bring me proof positive that when you were in school, you performed at a very high level academically. When you took your college entrance exam, ACT, SAT, you performed at a very high level. I can assure you that I know enough colleges that you're more than happy to have that type of academic talent within that student population.
Great, great. And so you talk, I was going to ask a little bit more about, I lost my train of thought. It was related to,
All right.
I think it was related to the education piece related to, oh, gosh, it was something to do with pathways and school and, if, let's say, for example, teachers make a big impact on us, and there are amazing math and science teachers, and then there are math and science teachers, or in any subject matter, that are not necessarily what I would consider giving their all. And a lot of times
Yeah.
students will suffer. You know, I went to a very small school, 19 kids in my graduating class, and I had a well-intentioned but not well-skilled first-year teacher in trigonometry. And I went to the university and I took my scores and etc. And I had some work to make up even though I got straight A's. How do you encourage students that you can still pursue a career in engineering if, for example, let's say you missed one of those courses because let's say you made a bad decision and you wanted to go to a course that your boyfriend or your girlfriend was in, or you didn't like the teacher, there was a personality conflict. You know, there are those missed opportunities that are so critical, whether that be you just didn't go or whether the teacher just wasn't able to teach in the way you were able to learn, or et cetera, et cetera. So talk about how a student can overcome, I don't want to say that obstacle, but how to kind of look at that and say, oh, well, I didn't take math or science courses in, my freshman and sophomore year. Now what? And now all of a sudden I find out that maybe, hey, I am interested in engineering. What opportunities are out there for me?
And first and foremost, I pray God that any of you who are watching this, that have your parents to watch this too, because your parents absolutely have to be involved in your educational life. Second of all, as it applies to teachers, you got some teachers who want to be your friends, and then this reputation of, oh, this teacher's hard. Trust me when I tell you this. The teacher who wants to be your friend, that's going to be the teacher that you're going to despise one day, because you're going to notice that teacher gave you nothing. The teacher who most people say that teacher is hard, if you want to know how to identify a beloved teacher, you're going to have homework every day. That's the teacher that's loving you, because that's the teacher that's going to prepare you so that when you go to college, you'll find that you're well equipped. You're going to thank that teacher. From now to the day you die, you will remember that teacher. The teacher who tried to be your best friend and not give you homework and was slack, I want you to know right now, if you got one of those teachers and you think that teacher is the coolest teacher, trust me, that is the sorriest teacher you'll ever in your life want to meet. And one day you're going to learn to despise that teacher. So that's the way I want you to identify. I want you to measure your teachers that way. If you're watching this, I want you to say to yourself, now Miss Smith gives us homework every day. Love Miss Smith. Mr. Jones, we don't have to read. Trust me, Mr. Jones is a sorry teacher. Tell Mr. Jones to look at this video. Mr. Jones, you're a sorry teacher. You need to get out of the profession. So, young folks, that's how you do it. Now, if you want to know how good your teachers are, I want you to take the SAT or the ACT prep exams. I want you to take those very early. And I want you to compare your scores. I want you to understand what high performance on those exams look like. So if you got a 4.0 in math, whatever math courses you're taking, and then you absolutely stink up the place on the SAT and the ACT exam, that's a very good indication that you have a ill-equipped teacher. And somewhere that teacher is not giving you the foundation it takes for you to perform well. And if you don't do good on those SAT or ACT exams, I'm not saying that they're the be-all to end-all when you go to college, because, again, this is about drive. If you decide at any point that I'm going to get my attitude right and I'm going to put in the time and work hard, regardless of if your high school prepared you well or not, you can make that up. But that is certainly a very good indication. If you take those exams, if you find that on the essay you have no idea on the vocabulary part what words are meaning, well, that's a pretty good indication that your English teacher was not challenged. If you don't know who the president of the United States are, you don't understand the legislative body, that civics teacher, that history teacher, they do a very good job of teaching you. So those are going to be some indicators. When you look at your grade point averages in school right now, you take those standardized tests and you see how well you did. That'll be a very good indication of how well or how poorly your teacher is preparing you. But again, parents, if you're not checking, if your child is coming home every day with no homework and you don't have a problem with it, well, mom and dad, you need to get on your job.
Like, hey, call us out. So what do you think, I'm going to do a quick audio check here to make sure it's all, what you're putting down is going forward here. So just bear with me here as I touch a few buttons on the computer.